Rahman, he was looking entirely different. No long hair and that vigorous appearance, robust health. That is why for moments he could not recognize him. But after a short span of time, he could recognize, yes, he is Rahman. When did you come, Rahman? I asked him. Last evening, he said. I was released from jail, he replied. Last evening, I am released from jail. The words struck harsh upon my ears. I had never before talked with one who had wounded his fellow, and my heart shrank within itself when I realized this, for I felt that the day would have been better moment had he not turned up. Minnie's father, when he replied that I am released last evening, to his ear, it was odd when he heard that he was feeling some uneasiness after hearing the reply from Kabliwala that I am released from jail, because Minnie's father or the narrator, he was not so accustomed with uh, those uh, guilty persons or those culprits. For some moments he was feeling uneasy, but later he could manage himself. Then, then he said, there are ceremonies uh, I had never before talked with one who had wounded his fellow, because Minnie's father or the narrator said, I have never been conversed with such person who had wounded somebody, uh, had uh, who had tried to kill someone. This is the first time I am interacting with such person. So, and my heart shrank within itself when I realized this, for I felt that the day would have been better, and I hope that he would lead a better life in future. There are ceremonies going on, I said, and I am busy. Could you perhaps come another day? To avoid him, because it was an auspicious day, the next day of Minnie's marriage, the next morning. That is why the narrator, he was wanting to avoid Kabliwala, or he was wanting to avoid the situation, awkward situation. That is why he told Kabliwala, could you come in any other day, because there is a ceremony, it is going on. At once he turned to go, but as he reached the door, he hesitated and said, may I not see the little one, sir, for a moment? It was his belief that Minnie was still the same. He had pictured her running to him as she used to, calling, oh Kabliwala, Kabliwala. He had imagined too that they would laugh and talk together just as of old. In fact, in memory of former day, he had brought carefully wrapped up in paper a few almonds and raisins and grapes, obtained somehow from a countryman, for his own little fund was dispersed. So, when Minnie's father told that would you come any other day, then and there he was ready to leave the place. But for some moment he stopped, and once again he turned, and he handed over a uh, something wrapped with paper. Those were some raisins, grapes wrapped with paper. So he told to give these things to Minnie. Or one more request he told, he placed before Minnie's father, that can I meet that little child? Because Kabliwala, he was thinking that Minnie is still that little child, Minnie would come and talk to him in that same manner, laughing and with that joyful attitude. He had in he had with that conception that his Minnie is still a little child, wearing sari, sitting on the veranda. She used to do. Several years already have been passed. For moments, the Kabliwala means that person Rahman, he forgot for some time. I said again, there is a ceremony in the house and you will not be able to see anyone today. The man's face fell. He looked wistfully at me for a moment, said good morning, and went out. I felt a little sorry and would have called him back, but I found he was returning of his own accord. He came close to me, holding out his offering and said, I brought these few things, sir, for the little one. Will you give them to her? When once again, when he approached, he requested, can I meet the little child? Once again, Minnie's father, he refused. And when he was about to leave, that means Rahman, he was about to leave, Minnie's father, he felt sorry within himself. But after a pause, once again he turned and he told, will you please hand over these things to the little child? That means to her. Turn page 96. I took them and was going to pay him, but he caught my hand and said, you are very kind, sir. Keep me in your recollection. Do not offer me money. You have a little girl. I too have one like her in my own home. I think of her and bring fruits to your child, not to make a profit for myself. When Minnie's father, he noticed, he unwrapped the paper, he saw that some fruits are there. Kabliwala, he brought for Minnie. Then Minnie's father, he became emotional and then he took out some money and handed over to Kabliwala. But the Kabliwala, he refused it. He refused it and he told that I have brought it for your daughter and several years already have been passed. That means my daughter is also, she is also grown up as Minnie, whom I have left far, far away. That means in his country, Afghanistan, he wants to say. Saying this, he put his hand inside. Kabliwala more says that you are very kind man. I have brought this as a gift for Minnie. So I am not to take any money. You just remember me. That is the word recollection. You will remember me. This is a kind of remembrance so that you can remember me. Saying this, he put his hand inside his big loose robe and brought out a small and dirty piece of paper. With a great care, he unfolded this and smoothed it out with both hands. On my table, he bore the impression of a little hand, not a photograph, not a drawing, the impression of an ink-smeared hand laid flat on the paper. This touch of his own little daughter had been always on his heart as he had come year after year to Calcutta to sell his wares in the streets. Then what did he do? When he was about to leave, he had put his hand inside his pocket, pocket of his robe, and he took out a dirty piece of paper. Then he flattened it with both of his hands. He kept it on the table of Minnie's father. And what was inside the paper? An ink smudged impression, small hand of his daughter. He was showing to Minnie's father that this is the impression of my daughter's hand, which I am carrying with me. Years after years, I am selling my wares in Calcutta through narrow lanes. So I am carrying this impression of my daughter as the memory. That means my daughter, she is also grown up as Minnie. Tears came to my eyes. I forgot that he was a poor Kabuli fruit seller, while I was, but no, what was I more than he? He also was a father. That impression of the hand of his little Parvati in her distant mountain home remembered me of my own little Minnie. Then Minnie's father, he became nostalgic, he became emotional, and it is out of emotion, it is out of sorrow when he saw the impression, ink smudged impression of Kabliwala's daughter. Tears were coming out of his cheek. He started crying. He was also thinking that Kabliwala, he has a daughter like my daughter Minnie. Kabliwala is also thinking that his daughter, she has also grown up. But several years he has not seen, he has not met his daughter because he is compelled to sell his wares in narrow lanes of Calcutta. I sent for Minnie immediately from the inner apartment. Many difficulties were raised, but I would not listen. Clad in the red silk of her wedding day with the sandal paste on her forehead and adorned as a young bride, Minnie came and stood bashfully before me. Then Minnie's father, he decided